Psychological warfare, narratives, how reality is constructed. Good. So far you have seen pieces. Emotions. Perception. Mechanisms. Today we are going to unite them into something more dangerous. Narratives. Because an emotion moves a person. But a narrative defines how millions understand the world. And that is real power. First, understand this precisely. A narrative is not just any story. It is a simplified system that answers 3 questions. What is happening? Who is responsible? What should be done? If you control those 3, you don't need to control anything else. Now let's get to what's important. Real stories. Case 1. The Cold War, 2 incompatible realities. Imagine living in a world divided into 2 blocks. Not just territories. Complete realities. On one side, we are freedom. From the other, we are justice. Both sides had problems. Both sides committed abuses. Both sides lied. But that's irrelevant. Because the narrative does not compete in precision. Compete on consistency. For an average person, geopolitics is incomprehensible. Too many factors. Too many variables. Too much uncertainty. And here comes the narrative. Reduce everything to something manageable. We are the good ones. They are the problem. That's all. It's true? Not completely. Is it enough? Yes. Why does it work? Because the human brain is not designed to process constant complexity. It is designed to survive. And surviving involves making quick decisions with limited information. Then the brain does something efficient. Simplify. Prefers a coherent story, although it is incomplete, to a complex reality that cannot be processed. Result: millions of people support policies, conflicts, and decisions without fully understanding them. Not because they are incapable, but because the system favors simplicity. Operational lesson? A narrative doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be easier to understand than reality. Case 2. Germany between wars, when a history resolves chaos. Now a more crude case. Germany after the First World War. Uncontrolled inflation. Unemployment. National humiliation. The situation was complex. Too complex. There was no single cause. There was no clear solution. And that creates something dangerous. Uncertainty. And uncertainty is one of the most uncomfortable experiences for the human mind. Then something appears. Not as politics. As a narrative. It's not complicated. There are those responsible. Suddenly, everything has an explanation. You don't need to understand economics. You don't need to analyze treaties. You only need to believe one thing. And everything fits. That's the power of total storytelling. Turn chaos into order. And here is the key detail. It doesn't matter if it's correct. It is important that you eliminate uncertainty. Because the mind prefers a wrong explanation to no explanation. Result: the narrative is not just accepted. It is internalized. It becomes identity. And when something is identity, it is no longer questioned. He defends himself. Operational lesson? A strong narrative doesn't just inform. Relieves the anxiety of not understanding. Case 3. The modern world, speed, virality, and anchoring. Now look at the present. An event occurs. It can be complex. Ambiguous. But that lasts minutes. Because narratives immediately appear. Simplified. This happened because of this. This is the culprit. This is the solution. And here is the critical point. The first narrative that arrives has advantage. It becomes the initial frame. And everything else? It is evaluated in relation to that framework. This is called anchoring. And it is extremely difficult to break. Now add excitement. If that narrative generates anger, fear, indignation, it is shared. Because emotions increase the probability of action. And share. It is action. Result. The fastest and most emotional narrative, not the most precise, dominates. Operational lesson? Speed is power. Deep mechanics. Now the important thing. Why does all this work? 1. Reduces complexity. 2. Eliminates uncertainty. 3. Offers direction. The human brain seeks order, certainty, meaning. And the narrative delivers all three. Even if it's artificial. 2 critical components. Every effective narrative has 2 elements. Villain and victim. The villain concentrates blame. The victim generates empathy. And together they create conflict. And the conflict sustains attention. And the attention. It is the most valuable resource. Integration. Now put everything together. An effective narrative. Simplify reality. Define culprits. Offer solution. Activate emotion. It spreads fast. And once established, it is resistant. Why change narrative? It involves changing identity. And that is the most difficult thing. Inventory. 1. Narratives reduce complexity. 2. The first narrative has the advantage. 3. Emotion accelerates spread. 4. The brain prefers certainty over precision. 5. Villain plus victim creates conflict. Conclusion. You don't consume information. You consume narratives. And those narratives, they define your reality. But now, you are no longer passive. Now you can see the system. And that, it is the first step to not being controlled by him. In the next episode, let's see how these narratives spread. Because without distribution, there is no influence. See you in the next episode.